Hey team, how are you? Look, I want to talk about life a little bit more. So, look, life is tough, and there are crazy people out there who think that life is supposed to be happy. It's not. And the reason it's not gonna be happy is because of the situation we're in. Look, life is about uncertainty, and you've got to understand this, that there is nothing we have that we're in control of. The circumstances, people, events, we're not in control of anything. I mean, we're not even in control of our, death, to the extent that we don't know when we're actually going to die, right? So, life is tough. It's not meant to be easy. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the default state. However, what you've also got to recognize is that we have free will, which means we're in control of our thoughts and how we think and perceive and interpret and look at the world. So when things happen to us because of uncertainty, because of circumstances, it's not what happens to us that is the issue. It's how we respond, how we react to what happens to us that makes us who we are, that creates the situation of happiness or peace or contentment or a lack thereof. So the first thing you've got to understand with life is that it's uncertain, right? That's the most important thing that you've got to recognize. Don't try and make life easy for yourself, because life is not meant to be easy. This is like a really, really important point. And people miss out on this. They think it's supposed to be easy. It's not. But the second thing that you have to remember is that although life is not easy as far as the outside world is concerned, it is easy as far as the inside world is concerned. You have total control of your thought space, who you are and how you think. So then it's about how you interpret life that matters. It's not about the fact that something has happened to you. It's what do you do when something happens to you. Now you're in total control of that. And so it's about thought, because when you're in control of something, it's how you think. So life is about thought and how you think. So your journey in life is about the development of thought. And what you have to recognize is that uncertainty is challenge. So challenge is a vehicle that I believe the higher power has provided for us. It's a vehicle. It's not negative, it's positive. It's how you interpret it. Challenge is a vehicle that the higher power has provided for us to help us improve our thought. The more challenge that we get into, then the more difficult the situation is, the more uncomfortable we get, the more we have to process and sharpen our mind, our thinking in understanding the challenge and trying to get out of that challenge, right? So challenge is there as a vehicle, as a way of improving, sharpening our thought, our awareness, getting to know ourselves, getting to know our circumstances, getting to know the world. So that's the second stage, recognizing that. And then when we have challenge, what we're trying to do basically is use that challenge to own thought. And what that means is that when you have challenge and you have consistent challenge, that is very destabilizing for the mind, for our thinking and for our intellect. And so when we push ourselves into uncertain situations, it becomes consistent. Then we have to develop mechanisms and methodologies, approaches on how to handle the uncertainty, how to create certainty in our mind when everything else around us is uncertain. And the way to do that, the third thing, is to create rituals, routines and rituals. Because when you create routines and rituals, what you're doing is you're laying the foundation, you're putting ground beneath your feet, you're having something to walk on, when in reality with uncertainty there's nothing there. So the routines and rituals are your daily habits. And your daily habits include like the time you wake up, the consistency in how you do that, the fact that you do exercise, the kind of food that you eat, and then the mind exercises about what I call contextual awareness. Contextual awareness is about perspective, getting context that the fact that you actually exist in the world. Like I've said before, a lot of people think they're basically, they don't think at all. But what happens is, by not thinking, is they're like walking in the world dead. They're like zombies. They're alive, but they're not really, because they're not conscious of the fact that life is very precarious and it can go at any time. So they're not aware that they may not actually have tomorrow. So contextual awareness is about recognizing that you actually do exist. We're not living in a dream. And then recognizing also in that same space that not only are you not dreaming, but that life is temporary, that you're also within that same space going to be dying. Meaning death, it's uncertain, it can happen at any moment in time. So there is a recognition at the level of thought in the shortness of life, the temporary nature of life. And what that does is that turns a switch in your mind that makes you more conscious, more aware, more perceptive, and more focused. And again, so that's what's happening just by using thought, thinking, contextual awareness, getting perspective. You become alive by being grateful for that fact that you're alive. So you become grateful when I say you become alive. And then also you recognize the shortness of life, that it's precarious, it can end at any moment, we're not in control of that. So you're focused, you're trying to maximize your day. So the routine and the rituals is what you do to create certainty. And in that also what I do is pray. So that is also the part of the exercise of contextual awareness. But people use meditation. I'm not a meditation guy. I was born into a Muslim family, and so I've been given the practices of how to pray and how to connect to source. And so I feel meditation is a little bit less than connecting to source, to the degree that you don't actually need to believe in a higher power to meditate. But my contextual awareness makes me recognize, when I observe the universe, that I have been created, that there is design. And so when I recognize that, I have to connect to that design, I have to connect to source, and I do. So prayer is a form, a mechanism of gaining awareness of the fact that you exist, gaining awareness of the fact that the higher power exists, and using a form of physical form of ritual to kind of zone in yourself to that awareness and connect to that awareness in your mind, which is what I call prayers. So that's the next stage, is developing the routines and rituals to create certainty in a world of uncertainty. And when you connect to source, you become humble. You realize the insignificance of yourself, and in that creation of humility and that insignificance, you negate yourself, you neutralize yourself, you neuter yourself, you relinquish your identity to the higher power. I'm talking spiritual talk here, but there is a nothingness in you, and that nothingness is your noise out of the way. So you become pure conductivity, is what I call it, pure conductivity. And when you have pure conductivity, then basically what's happening is you're picking up the higher power signal. You're picking up your signal much more clearly, your intuitive signal. And I think that intuitive signal is your connection to source. It's what I call the God particle. Intuition for me is the God particle. And so once you have that awareness, that connection to source, you will realize that the only thing that you can do is take action. So then life becomes about taking action. And so taking action is interpreting the world in a positive way. So I think that's good for now, and I'll talk to you guys later.